You're on CYInterview.
I'm Chrystee. Today on CYInterview, we welcome actress Chrystee Pharris. She is currently part of the series Monogamy, which you can watch on both Amazon Prime Video and allblk.tv. Chrystee, thanks for joining us on CYInterview. How are you?
I'm excellent. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so very much for coming on with us this year, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. Okay, let's try to get a Happy New Year to you, too.
It's just one of those things where you start the new year trying to have a better part of yourself, and sometimes it just takes a little time, but we all get there at some point. So just to begin, on IMDb, I'm very impressive. Your bio shows 60 acting credits and, of course, a career spanning more than 25 years. How would you sum up your career so far?
Well, I mean, it truly has been a blessing. When I remember just, I always knew what I wanted to do since I was like 4 years old. And I remember the teacher asking me, like, who knows who wants to be what they want to be when they grow up? And I was like, me, I know. And acting was one of the ones that I chose. I had a couple of other ones. But I just continued to keep pursuing it. And when I moved to L.A. and people tried to discourage me and tell me, oh, you're not going to make it, you don't have this, and you don't have any credit. And then I booked like 7 shows in 6 months, and an agent found me. And, I just beat the odds. And what I think is very interesting and what you have to learn in this business is that it does go up and down. And so you have to find multiple streams of income. Especially if you want to be in this particular business, you have to learn other things than just acting. And once I've figured that out, my life has just been full, and it continues to keep growing, and I make a living from being in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, so every second that I turn around, I hear about a new series or a new offering. I think I read that there are more scripted shows than there ever have been over the last year, over 500 plus. So why don't you tell our listeners and our readers about your role in Monogamy and what the series is about that they can find again on Amazon Prime Video, currently at allblk.tv.
Yeah, All Black. So it is a show that a couple of friends of mine created, and it's about... It's called Craig Ross Jr.'s Monogamy, and it's about 4 couples who decide to do a spousal swap in order to try to correct their own relationship. So then the question is, do you stick with your own relationship or do you jump into this new relationship? And so it's the challenges and the decisions that these actors or characters need to make. And the great thing about Monogamy is that it is, you have no idea what's going to happen. Like, you think it's going to go in one direction, and then it goes in another, so it's not predictable. And, this particular season 3, we left everybody with a cliffhanger. So I'm excited to see, what happens next.
So when does the next season begin?
We still haven't gotten word yet. That's the ups and downs about this business. We're still waiting to see, if it's going to be picked up, and then if we do get picked up, when we're going to start production.
Gotcha, I hear you. So here's what I'm gonna say, because it's a really interesting concept here. As someone who has basically seen the entertainment industry change over 2 decades, you have an interesting perspective that a lot of people don't. So what do you think about what Hollywood has become now with all of these streaming platforms, with all these different series in multiple places? Again, you learn about a new series every day. I can't believe I didn't hear about that. And so what do you think about where Hollywood is going right now as someone who, as you said, makes a living in the entertainment business?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wonderful. I think it gives opportunities for people who might not have, gotten those opportunities. And people have to remember that the industry changes every 10 years. So, when I first started, we had the whole sitcom, the 4 cameras, and then it went to single camera comedy, and then reality shows, became popular. And then the next portion of it became, social media. So now you have everybody, filming on iPhones and, finding all these new places to place their production. So you don't have to rely on these big, networks in order to get your show up and going. As long as you have a vision and you get it done and you get a team and you get it done, you can find, stardom anywhere now. But I think it's a wonderful thing. I know that there's a lot of older generations that don't, they always kind of hate on the new generation and the things that they're doing. They're not stars. They're not this. But you have to learn what's happening and the trends that are happening, because if not, you're going to get left in the dust and you're going to be sitting there complaining and, bitching about stuff that you have no control over. You kind of have to go with the program or what everybody else is doing.
Well, looking at that, just a quick point before I move on to my next topic with you is that even the fact that there are over 500 scripted series now on broadcast networks and streaming platforms and everywhere else in between, it's still a small group of people who actually get to make it in the entertainment business, even though the floodgates have been open. So it's great that more people are getting there, but now it becomes more competitive than ever, and it's still a challenge to get there. So it's still an accomplishment if you get there.
Yeah, I agree. It's, I don't look at it as, the whole competition thing. It's just, do you have the PR to get people to want to watch it? The problem is that, like you were saying, you didn't know, my show, you had never heard of my show. You have to have the PR behind it to get people to watch it. And if you can get people to watch it, that's why things continue to keep, why they keep going. And even some of these high network, I was talking to a friend of mine who has a show. She's a writer on a show that's on NBC. And although it's a great show, the numbers aren't that great as far as watching it live. Everybody's watching it on Hulu. They're watching it on different on streaming networks. And so the industry is changing in that sense. So I guess it doesn't really matter where it is. It can still, it could still have its challenges. And here, this is, an NBC show. So, it's being in this business is tough. One minute you think your show is doing great, and the next minute it might not be, or it could be, vice versa. You just have to keep plugging away and hope that you get a hit and that people, watch it and see it and like it and all of that good stuff. Absolutely.
So, two last ones. Looking back to your soap opera days, I remember Passions. I remember the character of Simone Russell. I remember the Russell family. What was it like working on that series with ongoing shooting?
Oh, it was a dream. I mean, it was my first series. I loved every single person on that show. There was not one person I didn't get along with. It was my first. It was like my first series of like working every single day, and it definitely trained my mind, my body, because we were working when I first started 6:30 in the morning to 11:30 at night. It was insane. And but I was so joyful because I was like, oh my God, I'm finally a series regular. This is amazing. And I was playing 16 at 25, so it just didn't get any better than that. And I still keep in contact with everybody now.
Yeah, absolutely. So finally, why don't you tell me about your recent directorial debut of Amy Victoria?
Yeah. So a friend of mine, Michael, called me out of the blue and said, hey, I want to do this web series called Myth of Control. There's an episode I would love for you to direct, and, I'd love for you to do it. And I was like, okay. And so I did it, and he was like, oh, and by the way, I know that we're in the, the height of COVID, so you're going to have to direct over Zoom. Oh, and by the way, the two actresses are deaf. So being thrown into something like that was definitely a challenge because I had to figure out how to communicate over Zoom, and then on top of that, how to communicate differently with two women who could not hear, where most directors, they're using their voice to convey the emotion that you want to get out of an actor, but you can't do that. You have to try to show them, and you have to be so present that you have to make sure that the other person is actually receiving what you want, what you're trying to get. So it was a big challenge. I'm glad that, I had the opportunity to do it. The pandemic really helped that a lot because I tend to be so busy that I probably would have said no to the experience, but it was so rewarding. I mean, it's been in over 20 different film festivals and won Best COVID Film and Best Director. So I'm glad that I didn't turn it down and that I was up for the challenge.
You can catch actress Chrystee Pharris currently in Monogamy, which you can watch on both Amazon Prime Video and AllBlack.tv. So for actress Chrystee Pharris and CYInterview, I'm Chris Shandik.